Start the governance committee work session, and we will start by reviewing the two OEs that we just completed the monitoring report on. I did want to put this into some perspective here. The superintendent and the governance committee have been working on the issue of how our current OE measurements relate and will relate to the strategic plan and the measurements that we're going to need to be creating for the strategic plan. And this is actually a major task that we'll be doing over the next several months. In January, the governance committee is going to be getting a crosswalk to look at our current measurements as well as what we think we're going to be needing to do for the strategic plan. And at this point, the governance committee also is looking at doing a survey of school board members in January, so we can look at which measurements we believe are critical, which ones are not so critical. So I wanted to put this conversation in that context, that we are going to be reviewing all of these in connection with the strategic plan. So what I'd like for people to be thinking about today as we're looking at this is what is absolutely critical. I don't think we need to go through in the way that we have in sometimes past and kind of looked at, well, we need one more small measurement, we need one, less measurement. But I'd like to get people's views of, is there anything critical in, well, let's start with the human resources OE. Is there anything critical that we need to add? Is there anything that we feel absolutely must come out? So with that, are there any comments about the human resources OE that board members want to relate to us? No? I know Patty had made some comments overall, but I think that's in keeping with our overall strategy of looking at the measurements as a whole. So if there's no comments on that, I will go to the community stakeholders' operational expectations. Are there any critical issues on either of the, on that measurement, on that OE? No? Okay. Well, then we will go to, I guess what we can say that at this point, we will be reviewing both of these in the larger context, and for today we don't need to take any action on it. So with that, I'd like to move on to the beliefs, mission, and vision. As you'll recall, we discussed this at our retreat, and we made some proposed changes to this. And I don't know if people have had an opportunity to look at this before the work session. I hope everybody has. None of this should be brand new to anybody because all of these things were discussed. I think what I'd like to do is, with your indulgence, start with the mission. If you could pull it up, because that is, I think, a fairly simple change. And I would like to finish this because it's kind of been hanging fire, and there's really no reason for it to hang fire anymore. Under the mission at our retreat, the one change that we had consensus on was to add the word healthy. And so I'd just like to get a sense of the board whether it's acceptable for us to add the word healthy to the mission. So if there's any discussion of that or no discussion of that, could I get just a raising of the hands for, okay, good, that's great. On the vision, the governance committee did not recommend any changes at this time. You'll see where our vision, the current version is. We had discussed at the retreat the possibility of having a short statement, like a tagline or a motto. The governance committee recommended not moving forward with any of these at this time. I believe the superintendent and staff were going to be thinking about this a little bit more and maybe bring us something. But can I get some consensus that we won't be changing the vision for now? Oh, Kathy, yeah.
I just wanted to add something to that context. Sure. I think there was a feeling that at the retreat there was a disconnect with board members about the vibrancy of the vision and how much is in it compared to having a tagline. And we talked about, we have a tagline now, we'll have a tagline, but governance felt like, let's keep the vision the way it is.
Yeah.
And then the tagline will be separate.
So do we have consensus to keep vision as it is for the time being? Little show of hands, maybe? Okay, great. With that, then, because there were a few more word changes, let's go to the beliefs. Again, these were all things that we discussed at the retreat. If you'll remember, we broke up into groups, we came back together, and we discussed having these word changes. Now, the only thing that is different from what we saw at the retreat is that in the very last sentence, we added, we had global citizens, but we put that last sentence to reflect where we went with the portrait of the graduate. So you'll see it has ethical and global citizens, for example. So we made that consistent with the portrait of the graduate. Again, the governance committee recommended moving forward with these word changes. And do we have any discussion from board members at this time?
I have a question.
Yes.
Sorry, mine is just trying to remember. When you look at the current one, I can't, if somebody can remind me, because once I see it now that it says deleted in new version, number 11, the self-motivation and personal responsibility are keys to future success. Does anybody recall the conversation?
Self-motivation.
See, yeah, I don't either, and it kind of just and that's kind of the problem when you go back contextually. It looks like, why did we delete that?
I don't remember that, but I wonder if they had to do with the fact that we added the portrait of a graduate components as the last statement, and wondered if that seems somewhat subsumed potentially in that one. I don't know. I don't remember that.
Might have been.
Are you suggesting we keep it in?
Well, I just, if you just look at it contextually, and because I was like, why did we delete that? And I couldn't recall, so I was looking, because I think they're important qualities.
Do you think that it is, as Dr. Garza said, that that's subsumed by the goal-directed?
Yeah, I
ethical
think
and
that's,
global
I think
citizens?
that is, I think now that she's saying that, I think that may be what had happened. But I just wanted a memory jogger from my colleagues, and I appreciate that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's all incorporated in there, that we put it all together, and we pulled in the portrait of a graduate wording in there, and that it would be redundant to have it separate. So I think it works there.
All right, thank you. That's it.
Okay, if there are no more comments, I guess I'd like to get a show of hands of how many support these word changes that we had gone over. All right, excellent. So we will move forward with that. Kathy, did you have?
So we're going to have Pam set it up for new business in action.
Right, and so that will be, so people will have another opportunity to take a look at it if you have other concerns. Dan, did you want to say something?
I just want to bring up the issue of the logo. I raised it before. I don't know if that's been a discussion point, so.
We're actually, along with that's why I think it's appropriate for us to wait on the tagline. I think we do need to, we're looking at potentially down the road a new change to our logo and kind of rebranding some of our work. And I know that at some point in the near future, I think the board's going to have an opportunity to weigh in on that.
Okay, I just want to know that it's still being percolated somewhere.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
And the only other thing is that we are, we continue to work on the agenda for the retreat. We'll bring you back more information. Everybody, of course, has it on their calendars for February. And with that, I believe our governance committee work session is closed in 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. So we have to take a 2-minute break. We'll begin at 1:42 with the skipped presentation. So if I can ask our special services folks to come to the table. Kim and Jane. Come on down.
I'll this C when I'm done, so if Karen, yeah, and then we'll just swap out. Just to move. That works.